Okay, so I'm back after a while, and there you see the Corel integrated on the floor. What's it doing there? Out of the system. Well, I decided to go with separates, and had a little, what turned out to be quite an upgrade. Bring you up to speed. There's the gyro deck. Nothing really changed there. Lyra Scala cartridge still on there. There's a Sonos amp, and because I have Sonos throughout the house. This is the Blue Node 2i, I think. But this is for streaming. Since I really listen to vinyl solely, if I wanted to stream something just to hear some new stuff or hear something that I'm interested in, this is a great little device with a nice DAC. It's got a nice sound. It doesn't really compare to the vinyl rig, but vinyl rig's got a lot more invested in it, so there's that. But I know this is the vinyl community, but if you guys looking for a streaming solution which doesn't break the bank, this is highly recommended. And then there's the West, which has been severely upgraded at West after I had the problems I talked about in one of the last videos. And that's doing great. And what you see here next is a Bryston BP17 preamp. You know, it's pretty simple. BP17 preamp by Bryston. And I don't have anything really special to say about it because although it does have a headphone jack, which is nice, something I haven't had before, and well, a couple other things I'll talk about. I'm able to use a remote on here, and this is the Bryston 4B SST squared. If I can get in there. SST squared power amp. It's rated at 300 watts. Now the Krell was 250. But I'll tell you, even before I got the preamp, I got the amp first, and I was using the Krell as a preamp, and the difference from the Krell integrated on its own was remarkable. I mean, it was immediately apparent. It was not subtle. You know, there was more of the microdynamics, more detail, more power, more punch, everything. It was just immediate, and wow, I really did not expect. In fact, I'm looking to sell the Krell, and I think I'm going to have it checked out because I'm starting to wonder. I just don't think the difference should have been that dramatic. I'm starting to wonder if the Krell wasn't having some problems. I was having some distortion issues, which I was starting to worry about. Maybe the cartridge and then the preamp, and I'm switching wires around and trying to figure out what's going on. And now everything's gone away. No problem at all, no distortion, nothing, and it just kicks ass, and just everything sounds more live. Really, it just, I really feel like I've got a significant percentage of the high end right now, which I should, because there's a lot of retail value in this system. So I guess that's a good thing, but you know, I'm just really loving it right now. This combination. Also, by the way, and I'm trying not to, I'm not going to remember the model numbers, but for the home theater, I had upgraded the speakers. I got some B&W monitor or bookshelf speakers here, and then a center, B&W center, which has greatly improved the sound of the home theater screen, which you see here. Can't get back. I gotta get back far enough, but anyway, that's the update on this. Oh, and I got this little rack here, keep by the turntable, so that I can, lay the record somewhere and actually see what I'm listening to, which is really cool. Just stuck that into the wall. So, let's get to some records. Okay, first things first, what am I reading? Not that you care, but Barbarian Days, A Surfing Life by William Finnegan. Heard about this book on Slate, I think. And they talked about how great it was. It's sort of a coming-of-age story, and also about surfing. A lot of the stuff I don't understand. I don't know anything about surfing. I don't like books about sports. I don't like sports. Don't care about surfing. Yet, this is really well written, and I just started it, but I'm liking it. This is on the agenda too. It's a new translation of the Odyssey, which I'm very curious about. And now that's about it. So you saw this Tiny Desk Unit, which was NPR's Bob Boylan's band back in the early 80s. This was recorded live, D.C., July 20th, 1980. And I heard bits and pieces of it, and I'm like, this is really good. You actually heard about this from this book, which is Bleeding Edge by Thomas Pynchon. And I don't know if any of you know, but I'm part of the Pynchon in Public podcast, or the Pibcast, which you can get on iTunes, where we discuss the works of Thomas Pynchon. We just did Gravity's Rainbow, and now we're doing Bleeding Edge. You can get those episodes. Anyway, Tiny Desk Unit came up, and I'm like, who the hell are they? He pulls out references from God knows where, but yeah, I checked it out. It was really cool. They call art punk. I mean, that's probably what I would call it, art punk. Kind of the, if you like Pere Ubu or something like that, you might dig this. Female vocalist with a real interesting vocal style, but very cool. This is next. This was one of my sort of holiday presents. And you probably know this one, the Royal Ballet Gala Performances, Living Stereo. This is the reissue, of course. I mean, look at this. Beautiful presentation. And it goes without saying, the sound on this is just tremendous. It's not really like some classical recordings, maybe like the Columbia stuff, which I like a lot, have a sharper sound, maybe a little bit, the top end maybe is a little more pronounced, and it's a little, I don't want to say better, but it emphasizes the clarity, whereas this is sort of like a lot of the Decca recordings, which I've heard, which are a little bit softer, more musical, go down just like honey, and this is like that, and it's just really just amazing. You may know this, the War of the Worlds, Jeff Wayne's musical version of the War of the Worlds. I just, saw this a long time ago, and I was just like, oh, you love the cover. It's just great, and Richard Burton is on it, David Essex, and Justin Hayward sings some songs. But, I kind of got this, just taking a chance on it, like, maybe it's listenable. I like all this crazy stuff. And this is actually pretty good. The music is good. It's cheesy in a 70s kind of way, but you just listen to it for the music. It's good. Um, Magazine, first album, I believe, um, with Howard Devoto singing. It's on Virgin. This is really cool. I gave it like one or two listens. Haven't listened to the whole thing really. Haven't lived with it, so I can't really comment on it too much. I got this and I got the second album, which I liked a little bit less, but also sounded pretty cool. But I really have to spend some more time with this, because I've always heard these are really well regarded, and I'd never heard any of this stuff before. And this is kind of almost like art punky too. And another holiday present, the Red Rose Speedway double album that I had no idea, being a lifelong Beatles fan. This one slipped by me, that Red Rose Speedway was supposed to be a double album. And I guess this is reproducing what that double album should be. And it's like listening to it for the first time. First of all, it sounds great, which they did a great job with it. And, McCartney's recordings are not audiophile recordings, but this is about as good as I've heard. His album sound. It's right up there. And this is really, really good. I think the album was overlooked. I overlooked it for a long time. It was overlooked. It got dismissed by critics, and that's probably why I didn't really pick it up and listen to it a lot. I had it, of course, and I listened to some stuff. Never really delved into side two too much, but I have recently, and I started to like it more and more. And then this comes out, and it's like a whole new album, so it's great. Must have, if you're a McCartney fan. Must have. This is an interesting one. The Smoke. This is Kim Fowley's band. He went later on to manage the Runaways, and then Michael Shannon played him in that Runaways movie. He's kind of had a very interesting career on Sidewalk Records. But this is really good. Sort of pop psych, I guess you'd call it. From '68. If that's your thing, you probably already know about this, but if you don't, this is one that I definitely recommend of that style. Nico. This is in beautiful condition. Look at this thing. When is this from? This has got to be towards the end, right? I don't know. But, in fact, it's got the end on it. She does a version of the Doors, The End, which is incredible. I kind of love Nico. I just... It's depressing as hell. But, she's kind of like got a monotone. She sings around a pedal point most of the time because she plays a harmonium. But compelling as all get out. And you've got... All right, you ready? You got Nico, you got Phil Manzanera on guitar, you got Brian Eno on synthesizer, you got John Cale on a bunch of other instruments. This is this is a great one. This is one of her better ones. Of course, Marble Index being the ultimate, I think, Nico album, but Desert Shore is also really good. I was just listening to this. I probably showed it before, but it was just in my... I need to go it again. It's another one of those Music Matters, Blue Note Jazz. Great. This one, I haven't got too into either. It's another one of those sort of early punkish bands. 77, The Real Kids. And it's funny, Alpo on bass. Now, Alpo was my nickname when I was a kid, actually. So that's kind of funny. I just saw that. But, I put this on once. I'm like, yeah, pretty cool. I mean, nothing really jumped out at me as like the greatest song in the world, but I like the sound of it. Very cool sound. I like that period of New York punk, obviously. Dave Van Ronk, folk singer. I guess, what is it, the Coen Brothers movie, supposed to be about Dave Van Ronk, folk singer from the Village, around the time that supposedly Dylan stole his version of House of the Rising Sun. And, he's a sort of a towering figure, but not incredibly well known, from the Village folk scene. What's the Coen Brothers movie I'm thinking of? With Oscar Isaacs. Yeah, I'm getting confused with Llewyn Davis. Inside Llewyn Davis. Yeah, this is a really cool. I think you really get a sense of what he was about with that. That's not a great. It's not in great condition though. I finally got this Monkey's Head, which is really cool, like that Porpoise song. This is just totally whacked, like the movie. And if you like whacked, they did a pretty good version of it. This is kind of an iconic record, really. And yeah, I would definitely recommend that. I've always loved Stevie Ray Vaughan. I saw him right before he died with Jeff Beck back in Philly in the 80s. And always been one of my guitar heroes. So, I'm intimately familiar with this record on compact disc, but it's the first time I've had it on vinyl, I believe. And, all his albums are pretty great to one degree or another, but this is one of the best. It's the first one. Texas Flood, by the way, if you didn't get the name of it. Here's two albums by Shuggie Otis, who I didn't really know before, but I picked up one album to take a chance on it, and then I got the other one that was available. I think I picked up Information first, and then I got Freedom Flight. I think I like Freedom Flight even more. But these are both great 70s, sort of like explorative soul. Some people call it like psychedelic soul, but I don't think that's really accurate. I think it's just more of exploring grooves and stretching out a little bit, and finding a tone that works for him. And it's just, if you like that tone, I think you'd really dig it. It's not too hard, it's not too heavy, it's not overly funky, but it is funky, and it's very soulful, and I really like both these records. And last but not least that I have here, I got a bunch of other stuff, but I put it away already. It's been too long. This is the limited edition of the Eric Dolphy set, Musical Prophet, expanded 63 New York studio sessions. This is in mono, but I'll tell you, if you're an Eric Dolphy fan, which I am, this is essential too. I mean, this is an amazing. I think a couple of the albums were already released. I think they show a picture of them here: Conversations and Iron Man. But you never see these records. So at least I've never seen these records. But they're great. They're both great. And there's previously unreleased recordings. It's all really, really great stuff. So, again, jazz fan. If you're into some really interesting, they do this muses for Richard Davis with him and I believe it's got to be Richard Davis, right, on bass. Yeah, where they just play off each other for an couple extended periods, and I think it's great stuff. So really cool. Anyway, that's the update. It's a big update, but I'll try to post a little more frequently because I know I've gotten a few more subscribers. I'm trying to keep up, but I've been very busy with work and everything, so and the holidays and all that stuff. So anyway, try to get back into the swing of things and give you periodic updates on how the system is doing. So until next time, see you later.